Find out. Everything runs through.
Tech and tortillas.
Everything runs through.
Tech and tortillas.
Good afternoon and welcome to Tortilla Talk. I'm your host, Dylan, and with me today is Troy in Dallas. Troy, how are we doing?
Doing great, man. What a Saturday. That was a Saturday for the ages. One of the best ones I've experienced in quite some time.
Got a little bit of celebration juice in that mug you're drinking out of?
Yeah, I'm still celebrating. Just a little bit of hot stuff, throat's a little sore, so need something to cool it down a little bit. I guess warm it up, actually.
Well, there you go.
Celebration juice.
Appreciate you toughing it out. Dallas, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I appreciate your get up you got going on there. What's inspired that?
Well, Dallas, we'll jump right into it. We're back. I mean, our Red Raiders are right back in the race for this Big 12 title after a big 23-22 win over number 11 Iowa State, unbeaten Iowa State. But guys, why are we even surprised? Because that's our third straight win over Iowa State. I mean, you could kind of say we own Iowa State at this point, right? So nothing that we all didn't see coming. Vegas, I guess, just decided to take the week off when writing their lines. But Dallas, I'll let you start off. Give me your thoughts on the game. What a big win.
Dude, yeah, it was a stressful game, really stressful. One of those that like the game ends and I feel like I'm running on adrenaline for the next hour and a half. Just pumped. Couldn't believe they did it. Yeah, I mean, to complete that last drive, like in the pouring rain, get some big plays. We forget about the fourth down conversion to Josh Kelly. Like he makes a diving catch in the rain, and man, you go 75 yards, give it to your guy Taj, and punch it in for the win. I was going crazy here. We were late to an event because of it, but hey, it was well worth it.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I was with Troy actually, so I'll let Troy go on and talk about it. But I just want to tag on to what you said about Josh Kelly because I saw at some point it might have been that catch or right before he was at like 18 targets in the game. Dear Lord. I mean, just keep trying to get it to him. Not a lot of them were completed, but man, we just keep going to the guy nonstop. But yeah, that last drive was definitely huge, especially in the pouring rain. It felt like we were going down the road of typical Tech when we gave up the score, but we turned it around. We showed some fight. We changed it. Troy, how do you feel about that?
Oh, man, it was awesome. We, the last couple of segments I've done a whole talk where, I talked about how we dug ourselves out of 2022. What the hell? 2022. And then,
my God, the wind broke his brain.
Yeah. And they showed resolve. I mean, they got out of it. You could tell in Joey's immediate after the game, the speech that he gave, or in the conversation with the sideline reporter, just the emotion, and it's pretty evident that team wants to play for him, and that's interview is a pretty clear indicator why people want to be around that guy and play for him as hard as they can. I mean, you go into Ames, Iowa against the top team in the Big 12, and you beat them in their home turf. What a win! When the season started to look doom and gloom, they fought back, punched back, and they get a huge victory. And I think we're all back in. Chips on the table, full tilts. Let's win the Big 12.
Yeah, it was obviously a huge win for Joey McGuire and the team, but a great speech afterwards, like you said, by Joey, because moments like that, I'll be 100% honest, we've all had our questions at times, even in that game, right? Taking that delay of game instead of calling the timeout. There are a lot of things, but when you come out and you show your genuine emotion like that, you win the big game and you let everyone know that you care, you love them. That's how you get me to start making excuses on your behalf. Because now all of a sudden I'm looking past Baylor and TCU and I'm saying that's straight up helmet communication gate. That they stole our comms. That's why we lost. Before I was like, hey, we weren't ready for those games and we blew it. We blew the TCU game. Nope, they cheated. They knew our comms. I'm willing to jump on that train now. And that's Joey. He won us all over 100%. I think we can all say that at this point. I know Dallas still sometimes has a beef with the coordinators, but I think we're all in with McGuire at the moment. Dallas, what did that post game, I guess, interview do for you?
Dude, it stirred up some emotions. My mom actually said that we were maybe a little too hard on him and maybe made him cry. If that's the case, I apologize, Joey. But hey, I love when a coach, really says and or means the things that he says, and from day one, he's got here and expressed how much he loves Tech and the community, and I mean that's the most we've seen it. Really big win. You could argue that's the biggest win since I think 2011 when we went into Norman and beat Oklahoma. Um, so yeah, incredible win for the program. Best win of the Joey McGuire era. I know you could say maybe beating Texas a couple years ago in the Jones, but man, knocking off an undefeated number 11 team in the country is not an easy thing to do, especially in the conditions of the game. That crowd, hat tip to Joey.
Yeah, and Troy, to further off what he's saying, you got the terrible weather conditions, you got the crowd going crazy on that last drive. You have to be impressed that the team was able to put it in the end zone and under those conditions, right?
Yeah, holy smokes. I love that point, Dallas. Just a game that nobody had on their bingo card that Texas Tech should have won. And not because they're 11th team in the country. We won it with defense and the tempo. It was just another thing out of our back pocket that, we'll find a way to win. And they sure did that game or in that instance. Yeah, and with the atmosphere, it was pretty amazing. They were obviously excited. They were 7-0, and so you could feel it in that stadium. Getting the ball back in the fourth quarter, was a little bit nervous, and just with how close the game was, I just didn't know if we were gonna be able to march down the field. But Taj, man, credit to him. He had his way with him. He was able to run down and get us in good field position. It was kind of funny. We're like, oh, well, we're going to have to throw this. Then Taj pops off 12-yard run or something. And so I was like, maybe we don't need to pass with under 2 minutes left because he was breaking them off.
Credit to Kitley. As much crap as we've given him for play calling and stuff, that last drive was like a masterpiece of play calling, hitting the runs like at the perfect times when they weren't ready. Yep. I mean, you saw the corners were not ready for any of those runs. Taj was like already past the first down marker and they're turning around confused. I just thought that was like perfectly timed and executed. Even with the false start there at the end, you get it back in your playmakers' hands. Trust Taj, and dude, Conyers threw a hell of a block on the outside to get him in.
Mm-hmm. But even the plays that weren't successful on that drive, like those two deep shots, they were both open. They were there.
Yeah.
It was just a well-called drive. But I'll let you add on to that, Dallas, because you went with the offensive coordinator. So tell me about the defense, because I know you've been pretty critical of the defense. Quite a performance they put out in that game.
Dude, yeah, I thought Braylon Rigsby, I know that, Jacob Rodriguez had like an outstanding game, forced that one interception and got some tackles for losses, but I thought that Rigsby in the middle of that defense really caused some havoc in the backfield. Also, Harvey Dyson, I feel like the last couple of games has really come on, so we're finally starting to see some guys who can win some one-on-one battles in the trenches, especially passing downs. And that's exciting to see because that's really what has held the defense back the beginning of the year is just having absolutely zero pressure on the quarterback. And if we can start improving that trend and consistently getting some pressure, then man, this team's going to be a lot better, a lot harder to beat.
Yeah, and then we all know about Joey's record in November. He just nonstop wins too. So it is good that he does get these teams better as the year goes on. Troy, I'll throw it back to you as well. Is this put Tech squarely in the Big 12 race again, or do you think that's a little far gone?
No, I don't think it's far-fetched. I think it's difficult to say the least. But, I mean, we're still in the top of the contenders. You have Kansas State, Iowa State, obviously BYU and Colorado, and then us. And so, sure, we need some help, but I don't think it's too much help either. We need a couple of teams to lose. And if they can have this type of performance, I think Dallas already said it right with the way we were finally figuring out how to get to the quarterback over the last couple of games. That's the formula for the Colorado game too. Shador is definitely gettable as far as getting sacked. He'll complete all the passes that he wants, so it's kind of like an oxymoron, especially with how our defense is too, because we seem vulnerable in the our safeties and corners. But they looked really good this past game, and so excited for that. But with that being said, I do think we can still fight, and this Colorado game is going to be huge. If we do want to contend potentially and go to Arlington for the Big 12 championship.
Yeah, I mean, a big thing is I know we're not going to be favored in all of the games because Colorado already opened up as a 3-point favorite. But if you look, I think most metrics have us winning all 3 games. So that would put you in a good spot. And then maybe just a little bit of help across the board. Dallas, will this Red Raider team win out?
Man, I'm hopeful, man. Ohio, wrong teams. Oklahoma State, just looking ahead, looks like they're completely imploding. I think then we match up really well against West Virginia just with what they want to do on offense. I don't trust that team to be able to move the ball through the air consistently. So I think this is your biggest hurdle. Like, get through this and then take care of business the last couple of games. And like Troy said, you're gonna have a great shot. Iowa State and Kansas State are the 2 teams that you probably need to help you out. They need to drop games and they play each other. So depending on how that tiebreakers work at the end of the season, I mean, you could just potentially need 1 game to go your way if everything unfolds with Tech winning out.
Yeah, guys, and we put ourselves in this position because we own the whole city of Ames, Iowa. So thank God we were able to do that. But you know where this all starts? It all starts in Lubbock against Colorado next week. Big Noon Kickoff, fellas. Oh man, I hope you guys are ready. And then guess what? Also, all 3 of us are going to be there, won't we? Oh,
yeah, we're gonna have quite a squad.
This sets up to be a huge week. When we originally decided to go to this game, didn't look like it was going to be the biggest game, but man, look where we're at now. Troy, I'll let you start off. How exciting is this game going to be, man?
Oh man, I'm super pumped, especially with big game kickoff being there. What is it called?
Big Noon Kickoff.
Big Noon Kickoff being there. That's going to be huge. We weren't expecting it probably over the last couple of weeks with how we played, but especially after that huge win against Iowa State, that's already going to be exciting. That made this experience even better. I had the opportunity when we had Kansas versus Texas Tech in basketball, and I got to go back up to Lubbock when college game day was there for the basketball game. And so I expect this to be an electric atmosphere just like that was. And I expect everybody to show up and show out. So super excited there. My daughter will get her first Texas Tech experience too. So glad to be able to bring her and show her what a Lubbock experience is like.
Yeah, Dallas, you expect a pretty crazy environment to give old Dion a warm welcome to Lubbock?
Dude, yeah, I hope so. This is the biggest game, like, really, that we've had in November since when? Since we started 7-0, maybe. Since the Crabtree catch. But realistically, like, this game is huge for just Joey McGuire, the program, everything going forward, the momentum that you can create, and potentially have a shot at going to Arlington and playing for a Big 12 championship game. It starts this Saturday, and it's exciting. The one thing, these kind of games, Joey, there's been several times Joey's said that, the team got too amped up. They got too emotional before games and came out flat or didn't play freely. I hope he can settle some nerves before this, because this is going to be more hoopla with the Patrick Mahomes jerseys being worn, and so contain all the outside noise, minimize it, go play a game. The crowd will do its job, man. Lubbock's going to be pumped for this game, but they need to go out there and focus on a really good Colorado team.
Dallas, what do you mean too amped up? Look at us. Look how grounded we all are right now. I don't know what you're talking about. Troy,
This
when
is
you
the
look
man
at
who
this
wore a bag on his head last week.
range of emotions, Dallas. It's a roller coaster of a season. We live one game at a time. Troy, what does Texas Tech have to do to be successful in this game?
I think the formula looks pretty similar on the defensive side to what we just had. I mean, obviously, it's easy to say that because it was our best defensive performance of the year. But it's get to Shedeur and make him uncomfortable. He's still really effective, even if you do make him uncomfortable. The guy's completion percentage, Dallas, you already said it's like 70%. And so you got to control what you can control and put him in third and longs. So the way that our linebackers have looked all year, I'm not convinced they're not superheroes. I mean, goodness gracious, they both balled out on Saturday. And so they're going to need to get to the quarterback. They're going to need to make Shedeur think about them and make their presence felt. And then the other piece, not that he looks to run, but you almost got to make them one-dimensional. They've been more opportunistic with running the ball lately. They kind of abandoned that earlier in the year, but have started to run it a little bit more now. But yeah, you got to make sure let your presence be known against him, because it's going to be really tough to slow them down. And on the offensive side of the ball, just clean, consistent. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. Spread it around the yard. I mean, I think this defense is definitely gettable. They are able to get to the quarterback, so as long as Morton's not getting hit, I don't worry about it too much there. But they definitely have guys that, hopefully we can limit how many times that they're getting to Barron. So the offensive line is probably going to need to have one of their better games of the year.
And one good way to do that, Dallas, is to feed Taj. And Dallas, Taj is looking at a chance at history in this game, isn't he?
Yeah, I know. Just another thing that could happen in this game. He could pass Hansborough for number one all time on the rushing list. So, I mean, that would be incredible. I mean, how poetic would it be if maybe we get a game-sealing drive where he gets that and Texas Tech walks out of there with a victory? But yeah, I think Colorado, especially on the ground, I think is gettable. The last few games, they've consistently given up over 5 yards a carry to opposing running backs. So I think you can lean on him, man. Like, get him going early and often. The one thing that killed us in the second quarter of this last game was we totally got away from Taj. And, I know the running or the passing attack was working, but you got to make sure, even when it is, to mix in a steady dose of him, because that's when he can rip off those, 15, 20-yard chunk runs that he can do, bouncing off tackles. So I'm excited. Be awesome if we were there for Taj to make history.
Yeah, no, it would definitely be a great thing to see, especially how much he's meant to us and the team as a whole. I mean, we kind of go as Taj goes at this point. But guys, go ahead, Troy.
I just wanted to touch on, obviously Taj is going to play a super critical role, but I think with Williams getting more involved, and he was involved last game, but obviously he's getting more touches of late. It's just an interesting dynamic with those two, because they're totally two different styles of running back. And I really think you can change the pace and tempo with each of them. Just kind of reminds me of the Carolina Panthers when they had smash and dash. Like, that would be really interesting if we can start, getting Williams on the edge more, and Taj just whatever Taj wants to do, let him do it. But that'd be an interesting thing to unlock, especially going towards the end of the season.
Yeah, no, agreed. I mean, it's a good compliment when you have both of them in the backfield. But Dallas, I know you touched on it earlier. It's exciting to have such a big game, to finally have a big game atmosphere in Lubbock. how do you even go about keeping the team grounded and keeping them focused on what they need to focus on to win this game?
Man, I think that you root everything in like being aggressive. Like I think that aggressive teams perform better in like those kind of environments, especially on defense, because I think some of those defensive performances that have been truly dreadful, and especially in moments like this where Joey said that they got too hyped up. Like this year, it was Baylor and against ACU early on. That like just stay aggressive and stay out of your own head, react instinctually. I think that they can do that by really focusing on the game plan and doing everybody's job. Don't let the crowd fuel you and how you move and everything, but sometimes they can overthink stuff, and it's a coach's job to free them up a little bit.
Yeah, no, well said. Troy, any final thoughts on this Colorado game?
No, it's going to be one of the tougher teams that we've played, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So excited to see what Tim DeRuiter draws up. I like to call out relative to don't be hesitant, run through people, and don't hesitate when a guy gets past you a little bit. Just get kind of caught back up and make some plays, because you're going to have a bunch of guys on that Colorado receiving core that can make plays and will make plays. So it's just about limiting their offensive capabilities.
Yeah, Dallas, any final thoughts for you?
No, man. Let's beat Colorado. Let's go 9-3. Have a chance at a 10-win season for the first time since I was a middle schooler. And man, that's what I'm looking for.
Final question on that, then, guys. Does a 10-3? I'll start with you, Troy. 10-3 Texas Tech Big 12 champion make the playoff?
Well, they would have to, right? If they're champion.
Well, yeah. But doesn't what's it called? Because wouldn't you think the group of 5 would be ranked higher and get that automatic?
Well, there's 5 automatic bids. There's 4 automatic buys.
Yeah, I'm worried about. Does Washington State still count as a conference for the Pac-12? Okay, that's what I was worried about, because I looked at their ranking earlier and I was like, oh crap.
No, they're considered like an independent. You have to have, I think, 8 teams in your conference.
All right, good, because that's what scared me, honestly. Because Boise State and Army would be the 2 that, if they just won out, could hurt us.
Yeah, but if we win out, we'll be above one of those.
I hope so, Dallas.
Well, to answer your question, yes, I think that.
I mean, look at. I will say, like on that, who is Army's best win?
Will be Notre Dame.
Gosh, we got to root for the Irish.
It will be Notre Dame and a Navy twice. But yeah, no, I was just curious on that, thinking about if we end up falling behind some of those teams in the rankings. But I do have a little theory, guys. Little theory here. We're gonna go not off subject, but just into my weird brain. Fox has some pull, probably, right? With with the college football playoff rankings. You think maybe they pull little strings to try to get us ranked this week so it looks a little bit better on their graphic for Big Noon Kickoff?
I hadn't thought of that aspect of things. I just assumed, there's no way we're 6-3. We're not going to get ranked. But hey, maybe somebody calls in some favors, like, hey, just put them at 25. It's not a big deal.
Well, just saying. In your Dallas, I've seen a couple of your Dallas metrics, out in the Twitterverse or Xverse or whatever you want to call it. And one of them had actually the Big 12 listed as graded higher than the Big 10 this past week, or I guess in total season. So Big 12 powerhouse, slightly behind the SEC, but maybe we can get that SEC treatment with the top 25 where Vandy slides in, or Missouri just keeps staying in. Maybe they give it to us.
We'll find out. First rankings are what, this Tuesday, right?
Yeah, this week.
Oh man. All right, guys. Well, I foresee a Big 12 champion Texas Tech and a national championship Texas Tech. So I'm glad that we're all on that bandwagon again. But we'll go ahead and move on to the Texas Tech men's basketball team. Guys, we start tomorrow night at 7, I believe. Monday night at 7, right?
Tuesday.
Against Bethune-Cookman. Tuesday night? I don't know what today is, Dallas. I guess tomorrow night from when you guys will see this video.
There
we go. Against Bethune-Cookman. We're back into basketball season. It just feels like with the snap of a finger. Dallas, I'll start with you. Give us a little preview on this team.
Man, it's crazy. We talked about rankings for the football team. It is insane that this team is ranked because I don't know how you can look at the roster, what McCaslin has done with a lot less talented teams and not have them like at least in that 15 range. I think McCaslin's talked about it a little bit leading up to the season. This is probably one of his most versatile teams he's ever had. We can roll out a ton of different lineups. I think we'll end up having 4 guys that can shoot over 40% from 3 with Walton, Williams, with Hawkins, and the freshman. I'm blanking. He's going to be one of my favorite players now. I can't even remember his name. But
you say Hawkins?
Yeah, what the freshman that was committed, Christian Anderson. Yes, I think all 4 of those guys can shoot over 40% this year. Anderson shot like 50% on 300 attempts in high school this last year. So crazy talented team. You got more athletic with getting Devin Cambridge back. You got more athletic giving a Kevin Overton in like long, lanky wings that we really missed last year. And then I haven't even mentioned, JT Toppin, who has a legitimate top chance to go in the first round of the NBA draft this next year. We'll see what that 3-point shot looks like. He showed it off a little in the NBA Combine and some last year. If we've got a 6'9", dominant big down low that can step out and hit a 3 once a game, this offense is going to be unstoppable. But with him and Federico, or Fetty squared down low, I think the defense takes a huge step forward. And we'll be able to defend anybody in the Big 12. I don't think there's a team on our schedule that can just out-talent us like maybe they could last year.
Yeah. Troy, you agree? Is this one of the most talented Texas Tech basketball teams you've seen in a while?
Yeah, it's super exciting. I'm excited for the transfers that we got. And then also my favorite player, Darion Williams, 5-tool player, just does everything, rebounds, assists, defense, can hit the 3 ball. He's just a quality player. Hope he gets drafted in the first round at some point as well up there with JT Toppin. But I think it's going to be really interesting. Dallas, you touched on the size. Outside of the 2 guys that you mentioned, there's not much after that. I know we still have yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing I'm worried. Luckily, the team's extremely athletic, so hopefully they can get away with some of the size that we don't have. But the 2 guys we do have in the starting lineup will be extremely impressive, and it'll be really tough to score on them. Excited for the offense, Dallas. You already mentioned that. It's going to be electric. And outside of that, I mean, I don't have anything else to touch on. I mean, it's going to be like the Splash Brothers out there. So, yeah, Tech's back. Well, we finished third in the conference last year, so we never left.
Yeah, well, I mean, we got a little banged up towards the end of the year with Williams going down and Washington having that foot injury the entire year or entire second half of the year. But I think most of the size is like in that 2 to 4 range where like last year we had Williams playing a ton of the 4. He can go back to the 3, his more natural position. Hell, we had Robert Jennings as our center like the second half of the year. Now we've got like a legit 6'11" shot blocking center, and you've got JT Toppin coming in at the 4, who, I mean, he was a monster last year on the defensive end, one of the best freshman seasons of the past 2 decades in college basketball. So I think there's some of those guys, I think specifically JT Toppin, play even bigger than he actually is. So I think we'll be able to withstand some of the physicality that we struggled with against teams like Houston last year.
Yeah, that's a good call out. Maybe like a Zach Smith type performance from a JT. He's probably a little more talent though, but super excited to see what he does for us. I did want to ask you a question specifically. That we're losing 7 guys, I think, and replacing them. We already touched on a lot of the guys that are bringing in. Do you worry about that at all?
No, I mean, I don't know. The only I think Washington to Fetty is a step back, but I think if you with having Toppin in there, it strengthens the big man rotation more than So I think that you've made up with that. I
Well,
know
and with
there's
Washington so hurt, I don't know if it's like such a step back with, I mean, availability is one of the best abilities, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. And I mean, like the other big name is Pop Isaacs who left. Who I'm not that upset that he left. He drove me crazy last year. He had some big moments, but I think he cost us a lot of possessions just jacking up threes when he wasn't that talented of a 3-point shooter.
Yeah. Yeah. Troy, I'll throw it to you. What's your outlook for this season? What's your prediction? Where do you have us finishing, and what would you be happy with? I'll say that because I think you might play national championship like some of us will. But what would you be happy with?
Yeah, so I think there's 5 teams that are ranked in the Big 12 currently, or is it 6? 5 or 6. I think that we obviously should be one of them, but the reason I bring that up is because it's a super tough conference. So for me, I think this team is super talented. So I hope we have another top 3 finish in the Big 12. I think they're fully capable of it, and especially as the year goes on too, it's a relatively young team, so I only expect them to get better through the course of the year, and so I think that we can really improve. Obviously, I think making it to March Madness it's not the. I think we need to go deep into March Madness for this to be exceed my expectations. So I would say like a Sweet 16 appearance would be where I could definitely see this team. I wouldn't be surprised if they got further than that too. Just looking at what they did last year with the team that they had, I think that there'll be less drop-offs and less lulls during games. I think there's a lot more people to go to that will be much more consistent. Consistent during the course of the year. So super excited for that. And I think we definitely get above 25 wins, above that, pretty close to it.
Yeah. Dallas, what's your outlook for the season?
I'm excited, man. We've got some big games in the non-con. Probably going to play Texas and Texas A&M. I want to win those games.
Oh yeah,
want to win those games bad. As far as the floor of this team has to be getting into the tournament. That has to be a staple of every Texas Tech basketball team going forward. Is always making it. I think this team is easily capable of getting to the second weekend, and John Fanta has us as his dark horse for a Final Four appearance, and it's heavily dependent on how brackets shake out and everything, but I mean I think about the Elite Eight team with some of those guys. I don't see why we can't make another Elite Eight run at least. And if as far as conference wise, you've got a tough conference schedule. You've got all your usual suspects. The Baylor, you play Kansas at Fog Allen this year as opposed to last year just getting them at home. So it'll be tough to navigate that, but they're certainly talented enough to win it. And so if you're talented enough to win it, you better be contending for the conference coming down the stretch.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I think this needs to be a team that is a regular in the NCAA tournament. For me, I think I'd be happy if we ended up like a 5 seed and making a Sweet 16. I don't think happy's not the word. I'd be okay with that. Be like, oh yeah, that's good. That this is what we should be regularly now that it seems like we're at a higher level than maybe before. But hey, if we can get to an Elite Eight, maybe one of the top, I don't know, maybe like a 4 seed in the tournament or something, 3 seed, that'd be awesome. I mean, that would be amazing. To your point, though, a tough schedule kind of can make some of it can help, but it can make some of that hard as well.
I think if we can gel early and get through the non-conference slate, if we can get through the non-conference slate undefeated, I think we've got a really good shot at like a top 3 seed in the tournament.
Yeah.
And that'll just depend on, a lot of pieces coming together quickly. So it's exciting.
Oh yeah. And even more exciting, we get to see this team on a Friday night. So man, it's going to be very exciting. Any final thoughts from either of you guys?
I'll say this: it's going to be quite a year when we look back on it. And Texas Tech has won a national championship in football and basketball. I mean, who would have seen that coming?
Yeah. Just wait for meat judging season, whenever that is.
Well, we got our revenge on West Texas A&M. They took it from us last year.
Oh man. You don't want a hungry meat judging team, I'll tell you that. But on that note, guys, thank you for watching. We always appreciate you guys coming in. Please leave a comment. Let us know what you guys think about this basketball team, even this football team. It seems like double natties to me, but let us know what you think for these teams. And please follow us on all social medias at Tech_Tortillas, Tech_Tortillas. And guys, as always, thank you for watching. Guns up.
Find out. Everything runs through.
Tech and Tortillas.
Everything runs through.
Tech and Tortillas.